Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple truth. The most powerful investment you can ever make is in yourself. Education is not just about classrooms, exams, or degrees. It's about learning something new every single day that adds value to your life. Every day is an opportunity to grow, to expand your mind, to sharpen your skills, and to prepare yourself for the dreams you want to chase. Educating yourself daily is not about how many hours you spend with a book, but about your hunger for growth. It's about curiosity, the willingness to ask questions, explore the unknown, and push yourself beyond what you already know. And let me tell you, when you commit to becoming a lifelong learner, the world opens doors you didn't even know existed. When you educate yourself every day, you are not just preparing for opportunities, you are creating them. You are shaping your perspective, building confidence, and developing a mental resilience that no one can take away from you. The best part. Knowledge doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you braver. Because the more you know, the more you trust yourself to face life head on. So today, I want to share with you 10 powerful ways you can educate yourself every single day. These are not rules, they are choices. Choices that will transform you into someone stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. Reading something every day is like feeding your mind with fuel. Just as your body needs food to stay energized, your mind needs knowledge to stay sharp, alive, and growing. It doesn't always have to be a 300-page novel or a heavy academic book. Sometimes it's an inspiring article, a thought-provoking essay, or even a poem that stirs your soul. What matters is consistency, the daily habit of exposing your mind to new ideas and perspectives. When you commit to reading daily, you expand your imagination. Books and articles have the power to transport you to worlds you've never been to, introduce you to people you may never meet, and challenge beliefs you've always carried. Each page offers you a fresh lens to view life through, broadening your understanding of not just the world, but of yourself. Reading keeps your mind flexible, curious, and open to possibilities. Reading every day also strengthens your ability to focus. In a world that constantly competes for your attention with endless notifications, scrolling feeds, and distractions, sitting down with a book or an article trains your brain to slow down, concentrate, and absorb information. This focus spills over into other areas of life, whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal growth. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Another powerful aspect of reading is that it connects you to wisdom across time. Think about it. When you pick up a book written decades or even centuries ago, you're essentially having a conversation with some of the greatest minds in history. Their lessons, mistakes, and insights are preserved in words, waiting for you to access them. Reading bridges generations, giving you access to knowledge that would otherwise take a lifetime to acquire. Daily reading also boosts your communication skills. The more you read, the more words you absorb, and the more effortlessly you express yourself. It shapes not just what you say, but how you say it. Your vocabulary grows, your writing sharpens, and your ability to articulate complex thoughts improves. This skill alone can set you apart in personal and professional environments because clarity and confidence in communication are signs of true strength. Reading every day doesn't only enrich your intellect, it nurtures your emotional intelligence as well. Stories, whether fictional or real, let you step into the shoes of different characters, cultures, and experiences. They teach empathy, compassion, and understanding by allowing you to live 1,000 lives beyond your own. This ability to see life through diverse perspectives makes you not only smarter, but also kinder and more connected to humanity. Beyond all this, daily reading builds discipline. Setting aside time every day, even if it's just 15 minutes, creates a ritual that reinforces commitment and self-control. It reminds you that growth is a choice, not a coincidence. Each time you open a book, instead of reaching for your phone, you're choosing progress over distraction. Over time, this small but powerful habit shapes the identity of someone who values learning and prioritizes personal development. Most importantly, reading ignites inspiration. Every line you read has the potential to spark a new idea, a new dream, or a new path for your life. It could be a single sentence in a self-help book, a powerful quote in a biography, or a life-changing concept in a business guide. These sparks can light the fire of innovation, creativity, and confidence that drives you forward. Reading every day is not just about knowledge, it's about awakening the potential inside you. Curiosity is the spark that keeps the mind alive. It is the quiet but powerful force that pushes you to dig deeper, to explore beyond what's visible, and to never settle for surface-level answers. When you choose to stay curious every single day, you are committing to a life of constant discovery. You are telling yourself that there is always more to learn, more to understand, and more to uncover about the world around you. Asking questions is the natural expression of curiosity. A curious person never accepts things just because that's how they are. Instead, she wonders why. She asks how, she challenges what seems fixed. By doing so, she doesn't just absorb information, she engages with it. This habit of questioning sharpens the mind, nurtures creativity, and builds the ability to think critically rather than blindly follow. Curiosity is what turns ordinary experiences into extraordinary lessons. A walk in the park can teach you about nature, balance, or even patience if you approach it with curiosity. A conversation with a stranger can open your eyes to perspectives you never imagined. The difference lies in whether you are passively present or actively engaged. Curious minds squeeze knowledge out of every interaction and every moment. Curiosity also keeps you humble. The more questions you ask, the more you realize how much there's still to learn. Instead of assuming you know it all, you approach life with openness. This humility allows you to grow endlessly. Mentally strong and successful people share one thing in common. They never stop being students of life, no matter how much they achieve. When you stay curious, you also fuel innovation. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history were born from simple but profound questions. What if, or why not? Every new idea, invention, or solution begins with someone daring to challenge the status quo through curiosity. By asking questions in your own life, you invite creativity to flow and solutions to reveal themselves in ways you may never have considered. Another gift of curiosity is that it makes you adaptable. Life is unpredictable, and situations rarely unfold exactly as planned. A curious person does not panic in uncertainty. She explores it. She asks, what can I learn from this? What options do I have? Curiosity turns obstacles into puzzles and challenges into opportunities, equipping you to handle change with resilience and grace. Staying curious also deepens your relationships. When you genuinely ask questions and listen with interest, you show others that their experiences and perspectives matter. This builds stronger connections, encourages trust, and opens the door to meaningful conversations. A curious heart doesn't just seek to be understood, it seeks to understand. Finally, curiosity keeps life exciting. Routine can often make us feel stuck, but a curious mindset transforms even the ordinary into something worth exploring. Each day becomes a chance to uncover something new, to read a fact you didn't know, to ask a question you've never asked, or to step into a new experience with wonder. Curiosity doesn't just educate you, it keeps your spirit alive. One of the most overlooked sources of education is the people around us. We often assume that knowledge only comes from books, classrooms, or experts, but in reality, every person you meet carries a lifetime of lessons within them. Whether it's your colleague, a family member, a friend, or even a stranger you cross paths with for a few minutes, each has an experience that can teach you something valuable if you are willing to listen. The beauty of learning from people is that it gives you real, lived wisdom. Books may tell you theories, but people share emotions, mistakes, victories, and stories that you can feel and relate to. A single conversation can sometimes teach you more than a year of formal study. That's because human experiences are raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. They remind you that knowledge is not just about information, it's about understanding life through different perspectives. When you learn from people around you, you also learn empathy. By listening to someone's struggles, challenges, or dreams, you step into their shoes and see the world from their point of view. This not only widens your perspective, but also softens your heart. You begin to realize that wisdom is not just about knowing facts, but about connecting with humanity on a deeper level. It is also important to remember that every person has strengths you might not have. Someone may be better at managing time, someone else may be excellent at handling stress, and another may have mastered patience in ways you haven't. By observing and asking questions, you can adopt their habits and strategies into your own life. Instead of competing with people, use them as mirrors to reflect qualities you want to develop in yourself. Even those who hurt you or disappoint you can be your teachers. Their behavior shows you what not to do, how not to treat others, and what kind of energy you don't want in your own life. Sometimes the hardest people to deal with provide the most powerful lessons about boundaries, resilience, and self-respect. Learning from people does not mean glorifying everyone. It means extracting the lessons from every interaction. Learning from people also requires humility. To truly gain wisdom from others, you must first accept that you don't know it all. This humility makes you open to learning from anyone, regardless of their age, background, or status. Sometimes a child can teach you more about joy and honesty than an adult can. Sometimes a stranger with no fancy degree can give you more practical wisdom than a professor. Wisdom doesn't discriminate. It flows through anyone who has lived and learned. When you actively learn from those around you, you build stronger relationships. People feel valued when you show genuine interest in their experiences and opinions. They open up more. They share more. And this exchange becomes a cycle of mutual growth. Learning is not just about what you take, it's also about what you give back. And when you engage in this exchange, you create bonds built on respect and curiosity. Finally, learning from people keeps you adaptable in a diverse world. The more perspectives you collect, the more flexible your thinking becomes. Instead of being rigid or stuck in one worldview, you become someone who can understand multiple angles, find common ground, and thrive in different environments. This is not just a skill. It is a superpower in today's world. We are surrounded by information. Everywhere you look, on your phone, on television, in conversations, knowledge is flowing constantly. But here's the truth. Not all information is valuable, and not all of it deserves your attention. Consuming knowledge mindfully means being selective about what you allow into your mind. It's about filtering out the noise and focusing only on what truly helps you grow, evolve, and move closer to the life you want. Mindful consumption begins with asking yourself, will this add value to my life? When you pick up a book, watch a video, or scroll through social media, you are making a choice. That choice can either fill your mind with empowerment, wisdom, and growth, or it can drain your energy with gossip, negativity, and distraction. By choosing wisely, you shape the quality of your thoughts, and your thoughts eventually shape your life. When you consume knowledge mindfully, you protect your mental space. Just like you wouldn't eat unhealthy food every single day and expect to stay fit, you can't fill your mind with toxic content and expect to stay motivated or positive. What you watch, read, and listen to impacts your mindset, your emotions, and even your confidence. By curating what you consume, you are taking charge of your mental health. Another part of mindful learning is depth over quantity. It's not about how many books you read or how many videos you watch. It's about how much you actually absorb and apply. Reading one powerful chapter and truly reflecting on it is far more transformative than skimming through 10 books without retaining anything. Mindfulness is about quality, not numbers. Mindful consumption also requires balance. Education doesn't always have to be academic or serious. It can be creative, playful, or even entertaining. Watching a documentary, listening to a motivational podcast, or reading a biography are all different ways of learning. The key is to balance inspiration with practicality, so you are feeding both your imagination and your skills. Another powerful way to consume knowledge mindfully is to stay intentional with your time. Set aside moments in your day for purposeful learning, like reading during your commute, listening to podcasts while exercising, or journaling after watching something inspiring. This transforms knowledge from random noise into structured growth, making learning an active choice instead of a passive accident. Being mindful also means questioning the source of your information. In the digital age, misinformation spreads quickly. Always ask yourself, is this reliable? Is this worth my time? Your curiosity should not only be about the information itself, but also about where it comes from. Mindfulness protects you from absorbing false narratives and ensures that your education is rooted in truth and credibility. Finally, consuming knowledge mindfully helps you maintain balance between learning and living. Sometimes people get so caught up in endlessly gathering information that they forget to take action. Mindfulness reminds you that knowledge is only powerful when it is applied. What you consume should inspire you to do, to create, and to live better, not just to know more. Reflection is the art of turning knowledge into wisdom. Every day we experience hundreds of thoughts, conversations, and lessons, but without reflection, they slip away like sand through our fingers. Reflection is that pause you take to gather the pieces of your day, examine them, and ask yourself, what did I learn? How did I grow? What could I have done better? It is in this quiet practice that your experiences stop being random moments and start becoming stepping stones to your growth. Practicing reflection allows you to slow down in a world that constantly demands speed. We live in a culture of rushing to achieve, rushing to respond, rushing to move on to the next thing. But when you pause to reflect, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You allow your mind to organize the chaos and discover patterns you may have missed. This clarity becomes your guiding light in making better choices for tomorrow. Reflection is also about self-awareness. It forces you to face yourself with honesty. When you ask, why did I react this way? Or what can I learn from this mistake? You uncover the beliefs and emotions that drive your behavior. The more you reflect, the more you understand who you are beneath the surface. And with that awareness comes power, the power to change, to improve, and to grow intentionally. One of the most powerful tools for reflection is journaling. Writing your thoughts on paper takes the clutter in your head, turns it into something you can see, read, and process. Even a few minutes of writing about what you experienced, what you felt, and what you learned can reveal patterns that would otherwise stay hidden. Journaling is not about being a perfect writer. It's about being an honest observer of your own journey. Reflection also transforms failures into lessons. When something goes wrong, it's easy to feel defeated or stuck. But if you take time to reflect, failures stop being the end of the story. They become teachers. You start to see what went wrong, why it happened, and how you can do better next time. Instead of carrying regret, you carry wisdom. And that shift alone can turn setbacks into stepping stones. Another gift of reflection is gratitude. When you pause to reflect, you don't just focus on mistakes. You also recognize victories, no matter how small. Maybe you handled a difficult situation better than before, or maybe you took one step closer to your goal. Reflection helps you see progress you might have overlooked. And when you acknowledge these moments, you fuel your confidence and motivation to keep going. Reflection is not only about looking inward, but also about connecting outward. When you think about the people you met, the conversations you had, and the lessons they offered, you deepen your relationships. You realize how much of your growth is shaped by those around you, and this awareness encourages you to nurture those connections more mindfully. Finally, reflection strengthens your vision for the future. By looking back at what you've learned, you can set clearer intentions for what comes next. Reflection turns your past into a map. It shows you where you've been, highlights what worked, and warns you about what didn't. With that map in your hands, you walk into the future not blindly, but with purpose and direction. Building new skills is one of the most powerful ways to educate yourself every single day. The world is constantly changing, and the skills that were valuable yesterday may not hold the same weight tomorrow. When you choose to keep learning, to keep upgrading yourself, you are staying relevant, adaptable, and prepared for opportunities that others may not even see coming. Growth is not just about knowledge, it's about ability, comes from skills. New skills expand your confidence in ways you cannot imagine. Think about the first time you learned to drive, cook, or even speak a new language. At first, it felt awkward, intimidating, and even frustrating. But once you mastered it, the sense of independence and confidence it gave you was priceless. Every skill you add to your life is like unlocking another level of freedom. It makes you less dependent on others and more empowered to handle life on your own terms. The process of building skills also sharpens your discipline. Learning something new requires time, effort, and patience. It teaches you that progress doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent practice. When you stick to learning a skill, you're not just training your hands or your mind, you're training your willpower. That persistence becomes a habit that you can carry into every area of your life. One of the most beautiful aspects of building skills is that they don't just serve you, they can serve others too. If you learn how to cook, you can nourish your loved ones. If you learn public speaking, you can inspire an audience. If you learn technology, you can help solve problems in your community. Every skill has the power to impact not just your life, but also the lives of those around you. Another reason to build skills is that it opens doors you didn't even know existed. Many people miss opportunities simply because they didn't prepare themselves with the right tools. When you keep learning new things, you create options for yourself. You might discover a hidden passion or even build a career path you never imagined. Skills are like keys. The more you have, the more doors you can unlock. Skills also keep your brain active and your spirit alive. The joy of trying something new, making mistakes, and slowly getting better brings excitement into your life. It breaks the monotony of routine and reminds you that growth can be fun. It's not just about being productive. It's about enjoying the thrill of becoming better at something you once couldn't do. In today's world, adaptability is everything, and building new skills keeps you flexible. Whether it's learning digital tools, financial literacy, or even mindfulness techniques, every new skill equips you to thrive in an ever-changing environment. While others may feel stuck or fearful of change, you'll be prepared to embrace it with resilience because you've trained yourself to learn continuously. Finally, building skills is the ultimate act of self-belief. Every time you decide to learn something new, you are telling yourself, I am capable. I am willing. I am growing. That mindset is powerful because it creates momentum. The more skills you build, the more unstoppable you feel, and the more you begin to see yourself as a work in progress, a masterpiece that is always evolving. Failure is often painted as the end of the road, but in reality, it is only the beginning of wisdom. Every failure carries within it a lesson that no textbook, no teacher, and no success could ever give you. When you embrace failure not as a punishment but as a teacher, you free yourself from fear and step into a life of growth. The truth is, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path to it. Each time you fail, you're given an opportunity to look closer at what went wrong. Maybe it was a lack of preparation, maybe it was timing, or maybe it was simply that the path wasn't right for you. Reflection on failure reveals truths you may have overlooked in the excitement of trying. These truths are gifts. They guide you to improve, adjust, and realign your journey with greater wisdom. Failure also builds resilience. Think about the strongest, most inspiring people you know. They didn't get there because life was easy. They got there because they fell, got back up, and learned each time. Every time you stumble and rise again, your skin becomes thicker, your heart becomes braver, and your mind becomes sharper. Resilience is not born from comfort, it is carved out of struggles. Embracing failure also dismantles the illusion of perfection. Too often, people get trapped in the fear of making mistakes, which keeps them from even trying. But when you accept failure as a natural and necessary part of growth, you remove that fear. You give yourself permission to try, to experiment, and to risk. And in those risks, you find breakthroughs you would have never discovered if you had stayed safe. One of the greatest gifts of failure is humility. Success can sometimes inflate the ego, making us believe we have it all figured out. Failure brings us back to earth, reminding us that we are still learning, still growing, and still human. This humility doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you, because it makes you more open to feedback, more adaptable to change, and more grateful for every step forward. Failure also deepens empathy. When you experience setbacks, you begin to understand the struggles of others on a more personal level. You become kinder, more supportive, and less judgmental because you know what it feels like to fall short. This empathy makes you not only stronger as a person, but also more powerful in your relationships and leadership, because people trust those who understand their pain. Another important aspect of embracing failure is that it sparks innovation. Many of the world's greatest inventions and breakthroughs were born from repeated failures. Each failed attempt forces you to think differently, to question assumptions, and to approach problems from new angles. Failure, when embraced, doesn't close doors. It pushes you to find new ones you didn't see before. Finally, failure shapes your story. When you look back on your journey, the moments that define you will not just be your victories. They will be the times you fell and chose to rise again. Those are the chapters that build character, courage, and credibility. Embracing failure makes your journey richer, your lessons deeper, and your triumphs far more meaningful.